Welcome back to RevKev RC. This video is brought to you by me at the request. I wrote his name down. Marc at Marc Gottwald. I put a post up. Hey Marc, I wrote your name down to try to get it right. Hopefully I got it right. Apologies if I didn't. Marc asked me, Marc with a C. I wonder if he's one of our buddies from across the pond. Marc with a C responded in a comment on one of my videos to a post that was about how to put Traxxas lighting, and in the post specifically Traxxas Rock lights, on any RC that you want. Now, you're only limited by the size of the RC. Here on the table is a 1/8 scale cross RC. This thing is, if you don't know about cross RC, go and YouTube them. But if you're watching me, you probably already have, and you probably already have one of these. But the reason I offered to show how to do this is because Traxxas lighting components are proprietary, which is just a fun way of saying they made them to only work with Traxxas stock parts, like Traxxas factory things. So you can clearly see here I don't have that. So the trick is to buy the right componentry, okay, and then know how to put it in to your RC so that, one, because the rock lights and any of the Traxxas lights, they run off 3 volts. Now, I believe because they do have brightness, you can run them a little brighter or a little bit dimmer. The ones in the X series, they will run higher voltage than 3. But in the application that we're going to do, we will not be able to control their voltage. It's going to get a constant voltage, and in my experience, it produces a very, very nice rock light. If you have not watched my Cross RC shorts with the Emo X4, that's the orange Gladiator, go and check those out. I got a couple of shorts on there. I'm trying to string together a video of that. It was sort of like a bonus run that I did at night after I had already done some other things for the channel. But they're very, very effective at the voltage that they receive from the power distribution block, which is what Traxxas calls it. I've got some parts here. There's only 3 that you actually have to go and purchase. The other things are going to be kind of on you, which is the mounting method that you choose for the rock lights themselves. But the main focus here is, how do I make the rock light work on a non-Traxxas? You know, we're putting out this thing. I got this FOC putting out 7.4 volts because that's what these mini servos are rated at. So everything here is running at 7.4, even though this is, my steering servo is rated at 8.4. It's got plenty of power at 7.4. So that's how we're going to run it. This is a fairly short and light truck. It doesn't need a super, super high torque servo, even though, look, I did a video on the Power Hobby series of servos. The 2 that I like, the 729 and the 760, you really can't go wrong with those. They offer a great value. They are literally plug them in and go to town. They do offer the more complex type that you can, run a external BC to, off your battery or whatever. But for this application, for simplicity, again, I'm beating a dead horse. I love doing that. The Power Hobby 729 and the 760, if you really need the juice, those are the bee's knees. All right, let's get into it. I got this thing set up here just to kind of show you what we're working with. I've already got the receiver cover off. Just as a side note, because I love doing that, this is a Traxxas clone receiver box. It's just like theirs. They use a foam here a foam here where the wires exit or enter, however you want to see it, and then a foam gasket. So in order to make this fully waterproof, which I've done with other cross RCs, is I just glob the heck out of this with silicone grease, just the way that Traxxas tells you to do it. And I've had great success with that. So if you get a cross RC and it has the Traxxas clone receiver box, just get you some. It's a little scrunchy right now, but this is dielectric grease, which is silicone grease. Okay, this is safe for anything for your electric contacts. You could even just saturate everything in there with this if you really wanted to, and it's totally safe. That's off topic, but I'm showing you, I've already got it apart. This is a 10-channel receiver. We're going to use one of the open channels, and we're going to make the rock lights turn on and off with our remote. Let me give you a parts list. I'm going to put this thing down. What you're going to need. If you want to be able to control these lights on and off via your remote, you need to make essentially what I like to call a dumb circuit into a smart circuit. A dumb circuit is you plug it in and it's on, period. And a smart circuit is it has a little brain in it that takes your power and ground and turns it into a power, ground, and signal. All right. So this switch is from Amazon. These are around $8 depending on when you buy them. Maybe $8, $9. I've never seen them more than about $9. And this is going to plug into your receiver to receive the signal to do whatever it is you're telling it. In this case, is turn on or turn off. Okay, so you pop this out the package. I'm going to put a link to these in the video description. So that's the brand. That's what it looks like. But if you see this, specifically that, doesn't matter what brand it is, however they're renaming it, rebranding it, if it's 2 into a board and then 3, this is an on-off switch for your RC. And these are good up to, I think, like 9 volts. So anything in the, up to whatever, because these Dumbo RC receivers can take up to 9 volts. So as long as you don't go over what the receiver can take, you'll know this is good to go. That's that part. That'll be in the link in the description. Second part, your power distribution block. All right, I wrote it because it was a sticker over it. You couldn't see it, and it was just hard to peel off. This is the thing that powers your Traxxas lights. Doesn't matter what lights it is, it comes this way. These are about $20. This is the thing that takes whatever voltage you put into it, which is up to 3S. You can plug this straight into a battery. You can take this and plug it straight into your 3S battery if you want to, and you're good to go. We're not going to do that. I'm going to power this off the receiver and also plug this into the receiver because I know that my 10-channel Dumbo is not using all of those. So we're covered there. This is all going to be inside the receiver box. And then your Traxxas lights, looks like we can take up to 4. We can take up to 4 different lights in here. I'm going to plug in 1. But if you want to add rock lights and you want to add some other light that comes on at the same time, because when we do this, we do not have the power or the ability to differentiate between which one of these we're giving power. We are not giving one of these power. We're giving the block power, and then it just automatically sends power up to whatever you have it plugged into. So whatever you plug into this and turn it on via our dummy to smart switch is going to turn on. Okay. And then lastly, obviously, you need the rock lights. So 8028 for the distribution block, 8026X. If you find 8026 non-X, they're the same thing. Functionally, for this application, they're the same thing. But Traxxas has probably phased out the 8026. I don't know what changes they made because I have both in various rigs and they all kind of do the same thing. But the price is the same. So look for the newer version, 8026X. These are typically about $25. If you pay more than $28, you didn't look hard enough. No, there you go. 25 bucks. I bought these. I ordered these from the local hobby town. Probably. I don't know. I bought like 6 of all of this so I could put rock lights in all of my crawlers. So in any case, that's the part number. I'm going to figure it out later and put it in the description so you guys can just click on it and find it. Not necessarily to buy it, because whoever I link it to is not going to be where you have to buy it. I'm just going to show you what it looks like so you can have the ability to search it for yourself to find the best price. Traxxas, Cross RC, whoever these Chinese company people are, nobody's paying me for this. I'm just making this video to show you how to use Traxxas lights in whatever vehicle you want. You are only limited to, will the wires fit? Will they stretch? All right. So this is part of the distribution block. What this enables you to do, just to show you, is you can plug this in, because it was in the package, so I want to tell you about it. And then you can add 3 more separate lights. So I guess not 3 more. You would lose the one. So you end up with 3 individuals and then 3 more individuals because you take up the one. So anyway, that is what that is for. If you choose to use it, I don't need the instructions. I've done this too many times. Pull these out. Comes with some zip ties. It's probably not going to be enough, but we'll see. I don't need the instructions. I'm going to toss those out. All right. Now, having explained the components that you need and how they're going to connect to each other and how you're going to make the remote work to turn them on and off, all right, you're going to need a free channel on your remote. All right. In this case, I already checked. It's going to be channel 9. Right. I do the same way every time, right? That's my high and low speed, or my front and rear, depending on what vehicle it is. That's my normal lights on and off, and that's my rock lights on and off. That is my cruise control on-off feature for, well, basically all these that have brushless and FOC, which could be another video. If you guys want that, let me know. I'll show you how to do it. So there is a number of ways that you can put holes in your fenders. If you have fenders, this is actually easy. If you don't have fenders, it's probably just as easy, because I've put rock lights on the inside of bodies on the upper side of the fender with 3M mounting tape, and they are still there to this day. Water, mud, spraying them off with a hose, that stuff doesn't fail as long as you prep the surface correctly. We're not doing that. We got fenders. We're going to use them. Now, this fender here is kind of cut short. So what I did on my X4, this is the X, it's on the body. Oh, this is the X1. Okay, we got the OG. This is the original X. So what we did on the X4 is I put them right here because it's nice and flat. And it's uniform pretty much on both sides. So I get my light throw, right? So the light that is cast from the rock lights is going to be pretty universal front to back, left and right, if I put them on this same plane. If I put them up here and I don't get the angle correct or whatever, you know, that's not a big deal. Do what you want. Put them back here if you want. But in this particular application, the reason why I'm going to tell you I'm going to go with this part right here is because this tapers off pretty big, and I don't want to have to try to get a rock light on something that is basically the same size. I'm not interested in doing that. That looks like a headache. I'll put it down there where there's plenty of room, and it gives me the light where I need it, which is right here on the inside. Okay, so that's how we're going to approach that. And the way that I'm going to do it, now I didn't film it before, but previously I was using a drill, a round drill bit that was just ever so slightly bigger than this is from in across the diameter of it. So the drill bit was just barely bigger than it is from here to here. That basically allowed me to make one round hole and then put this on and secure it with screws. I'm still going to use screws, but this time I'm not going to use a drill bit. I'm actually going to try a new way, and I'm going to use like a hobby knife, right? One of these, and heat. I'm going to use fire. So this is a technique that I've done a number of times to cut/melt through plastic, or this is probably nylon. This is like reinforced nylon, but all the same, a hot enough blade is gonna melt/cut through this. And what that's gonna enable me to do is fairly easily heat this thing up on here and use it like a hot knife and make my little rectangle for my fog lights in the fender. Okay, I'm going to do that. I have used this technique to remove Lexan windows out of RCs because I wanted the window cut out, and you can do it a couple different ways, which I don't think I need to get into. Other YouTubers have probably talked about that, but this is a really, really easy way to cut through plastic. And all you need is this hobby knife, which was extremely cheap. You can buy these at Walmart. You could use a lighter, but you're going to be holding that lighter on for longer than you probably want to. And a cup of water. Right? The reason you need the cup of water is because eventually the heat that's on the steel is going to start traveling up the aluminum, and the heat dissipation factor of aluminum is just not going to be able to keep up with the heat you have to apply to this, probably. So have you a cup of water so you can dip it in there, dry it off, and then keep going, because you're going to start to get uncomfortable with this. And listen, like I said before in previous videos, if you are a inexperienced person with sharp objects and fire, or a child, you know, I'm all about it. Like, if you're a kid watching this, I love that you're watching this. I'm trying to keep it clean so it's friendly for children. Please be careful. Ask your parents to help you. This is brand new. It's incredibly sharp, and if you hurt yourself with this, it's going to cost your parents money, and they're going to be mad at you. And we don't need that. You got a cool RC car. They're going to blame the $300 ER visit, it's probably a low estimate, on a hobby that you are duly into or you are really enjoying. So ask them for help. Just be really careful. Don't be dumb. Okay? I'm going to put this aside so I don't spill it everywhere. But that is basically how we're going to start this. I'm going to try to show you on camera. I'm going to move the camera and try to put it in a place that I can do this while you watch, because I think there's value in that. Let me tell you this before I do that, because I'm going to forget. I have a drill here. This is a cheap Walmart. It was literally $20. I got that when I was on a trip and I needed something to drill. This is a drill bit. Again, Walmart. I'm using the 3/32 size drill bit, the one that's missing. That is the size. And the reason for that is because we need a drill bit that will fit through the hole on the rock light, but won't cut or drill the actual inner diameter of that plastic. That needs to be untouched, unmarred, because we're going to screw into that and we're going to make threads into that with a, let me just pull one up here and show you. We're going to use one of these standard 2mm screws, right? This will thread in there fairly easily. It's not really load bearing. These things are incredibly light. We don't need a very, very strong like thread attachment to this. It just needs to hold the rock light in place. So the hole needs to be big enough that this can pass through, but not damage this, so that we can get good bite into this as we drill it into the plastic. Okay? So let me move everything out of the way. and get the camera set up so you can see me, which is the first thing I got to do is I got to mount the rock lights, right? So let me do that, and then we'll come back and start doing dangerous stuff. All right, we've got the camera set up as good as I think it's probably going to get. All right, we're going to be working on this part right here. Let me see if I can get some more light. Oh, nice. And I wanted to mention before we get started that the millimeter of the drill bit that is equivalent is roughly 2 millimeters, okay? I took this measurement off camera earlier, and then I locked the calipers down to not move. So something about 2 millimeters is going to get you the same effect that we're looking for, okay, on the drill bit to make the holes to actually screw the rock lights in place, okay? All right, so we got fire. Come on, we have fire. Is it too loud or high? Oh, there we go. Now, nothing can ever go perfect every time, right? All right, got my water right here. You see it in the background. Just drop my Loctite and put that back. Okay, so all I'm simply going to do is heat this thing up to where it is glowing. And then I'm going to very carefully, and I want you to notice my pinky, I'm going to use the edge. You see a lot of guys who do like hand-drawn lines on cars, like the pinstripes. They'll use a finger as a guide as they go along. So we're going to do that. Pinky's going to ground me. Might even use my other finger. And I'm going to plunge and move in, okay? So we need to have an idea where we're doing this. So this is a very good spot for me. If I go ahead and score it, I have a nice place to aim. Something to try to achieve here. And I can look at that, and you can look at that and say, okay, well, that's roughly the same size as those LEDs. That's going to be just fine. If it is too small, we can always make it a little bigger. We cannot make it smaller. Once it's done, it's done. So I'm going to show you this part of it and then do the other parts off camera because it's redundant and you're not going to watch that, and I know it. I just need you to see how this works, and then I will jump into the next phase that is more informative, okay? So I'm going to go ahead and heat this thing up. Let me turn this gas up a little bit. This is just propane. You can buy this at Walmart. You can buy it at Academy. I don't know where you shop for things like this in other countries, but man, look at that thing. Ooh, all right, let me heat it up again. You could do this without fire, but to me, ooh, that thing's hot. It's just, it's easier. You know, once you are comfortable doing it, it's just like the go-to. I waited too long to start earlier. You see, that one had more of a profound effect. Yeah, I can tell feeling what this feels like as I try to get the blade to slide through it. It's glass fiber reinforced nylon. It's very robust. You see this type of construction in pocket knife handles. If you're familiar with the SOG brand of knife, they make a good number of their knives with glass fiber reinforced handles. Golly, that thing is hot. I need to put the other side in the water. Now the downside is the more that I heat this blade up, the more it wants to bend as I use it. So unlike a drill, I mean, you could use this same type of blade or a skinny X-Acto knife type razor and do this. But if you just want to let the heat do the work for you, this is very effective. Seeing that right there? It's not obvious, but that's done. Pull out my handy dandy Leatherman. I told y'all. I'm all about it. We're going to take this and bam. All right, so we got our plastic out of there. That was pretty effortless. We just let the heat do the work. And we got us a nice hole for our rock light. Let me turn the fire off while I talk. Grab a rock light here. And you can see, I've done this before, all right? So I know by using my eyeballs that is going to fit just fine. Okay? I'm going to put 2 holes here and here. I'll show you that before I move on and do the rest of them. But I'm going to clean this up a little bit with a knife, because what I have is little raised surfaces from melting things. This is all going to be pretty brittle. It's going to come off real easy. Right? So if you do this, you won't need to put hardly any force on it. You just need to kind of like put a hard edge on it and move it around. And yeah, just like that. We got rid of our edge gremlins. And we got us a nice hole for our rock light. We got to do this 8 times. So, you know, this is why I'm not going to film it. All right. We're going to take our rock light. We're going to look. We're going to see, make sure it's centered. Just like that. This is not the light that's going here. This is just the one I'm using to make the holes. Hold it in place firmly. Put our drill in there. Slow. And that's it. Now that we have the one hole, we don't have to keep, we can just kind of do one of these. Now we got us a better hole. Take our light. Now, because I'm not actually putting this light in there, what I really would do if I wasn't on camera is I would go ahead and secure this with a screw. But I'm not, so I'm going to pin it in place to keep that hole indexed with a pick. All right, so I got my pick that's keeping my hole lined up, just like that. Now, pick is in place, which for you, like you could do that if you wanted to screw them all in all at once at the end, but I'm going to screw them all in as I go, right? But I'm not going to do it on video because that would take forever. So I'm using the pick to hold the pin, to hold the location of this screw hole. I slipped off. Doggone it. Well, I either slipped off or didn't get this one lined up very well. May have made this thing too big. But the good part is these things don't carry any weight. So if you make your hole too long, one screw is good enough. But this is where it started. I think I just slipped in there because the drill bit's walking. I'll tell you what I'm going to do, because I know that drill bit's just walking a little bit, is I'm going to score this hole with my knife to help give the drill bit somewhere to nestle inside of. Watch your fingers. That's what I tell y'all. Ask for help. Okay. We got it. That's going to be just fine. I'll be able to take a screw, which I got a whole bunch of extras. And that was the part I was trying to say earlier. If The parts you have to buy are the ones I've talked about earlier. You could do this with tape. You could do this with hot glue. I did hot glue in another one, which I might show you in a different video when I talk about that RC, because it's awesome. But the hot glue takes a little bit of time, and you know it could break off because it's hot glue. But a screw it's kind of in there. It's good to go. The holes here are, if you only had the one, it would be fine. So you could use screws, which you might have to go and find, or if you are pretty deep in the hobby like I am, you got a ton of screws laying around, and all you got to do is find a screw that's 2 mil. And I'm going to run it up from the bottom, so you'll have the screw head on the bottom, because that's going to give us the cleanest finish on the bottom, and then you'll have the unfinished screw head or screw end, the threaded portion, exposed on this side, which nobody sees, just you see. Okay, so that is how we're going to do it. I'm going to do all the rest of them. All right, we're back, and the rock lights are installed. So looking at this with the camera, because man, that is really clear. I'm probably going to clean these edges up a little bit, although I don't think anybody will notice. I want you to really focus on what we're trying to do here end goal wise. You can see all 4 LEDs back there. We can see all of them. If you wind up with that result, that is going to be a success for your placement. You know, if you put them all in there and if they're off centered, you'll know it, and you'll probably not like it, and you'll want to try to fix it. So that part, be careful, because you can remove more material, but you can never put it back. So in any case, I ended up changing out my gas container, because the reason why I was having a hard time is because it was very low. It was essentially empty. So off camera, swapped it out, and she was chooching like Thomas the Train. We got her all done. But none of this is actually wired in yet. I just wanted to show you what it looks like in. Some of these I opted for 1 screw, because 1 screw was sufficient. Like, these don't weigh anything, like this one. That's in there. All right, that's not going anywhere. These don't take a whole lot of shock. They don't weigh anything to get thrown out of their position. Some of them I used 2 screws, not because they were going to get moved, but because the flexion in the plastic and the screw and how the screw went in made the light want to angle up to create like a weird space on one end. So I threw 2 screws into where it was necessary to bring the light back down flat against the surface of the fender. It's like these worked out great. And I'll go ahead and note for you that you'll see that these are long ways, up and down. What do they call that in school? Hamburger, hot dog. Hamburger, hot dog, and hot dog. That was just as it turns out, where I initially just made the cut. It really doesn't matter, because you'll notice that these lights are square. The actual light itself, the LEDs, are in a square position. So it doesn't matter which orientation you put them, as long as they are flat and all of them are exposed, you're going to get the effect that you're looking for. So let's go ahead and move on. What we got now is our receiver and our dummy to smart switch. We got channel 9 down here, right there. You can see it's open. So you probably already know this, but it's always going to be the ground wire towards the outside of the receiver. And so we're going to stick her in there. This one's kind of loose, but it's not an AVC or a gyro type servo. I don't think so. If it is, I turned it off. It's pretty easy in the Dumbo. All right, so that's plugged in. And then we're going to take and plug that in. to this right here. And then, no, this is going to go into the receiver as well. And then this is going to go into this. This is what gives it power. I'm going to set the camera up so I can do this without, one hand. I need two hands to do this and to show you properly. So hold on a second. All right, camera's locked in. You just saw that I plugged this into channel 9, which is what we're going to use on the Dumbo right here to activate our rock lights. Because channel 8 is all the other lights, like the standard headlight and whatnot. All right, channel 9. Let's break this apart here. Chuck that. All right, this is going to go in the receiver. All it needs to have is power for when the receiver is powered. So this has only a power wire. It does not need the ground or the signal function. So this can go in this way or this way, but because this is a Traxxas that has that tab, it's got to go in one way, but it doesn't matter. So if you have a receiver for whatever reason and this won't go in, you can shave that tab off and it will work. But this Dumbo is set up to receive this no problem. So I'm going to poke that in there. You probably noticed that I took the wheels and tires off just to make it easier to access the areas where I was going to screw under the fenders, because obviously the tires are getting in the way. I'm going to go ahead and plug this in, give this thing some power. Cool. All right. My power side of the distribution block is in channel 5. Okay. It doesn't matter what channel 5 is actually programmed to do. Here it's empty. There's no signal wire, so the transmitter does not know that I have channel 5 powering anything. It's not relevant. It just needs to have power. And then channel 9 is what matters. So I got channel 9 plugged in because that's the smart part of the circuit, right? All right. Where? Oh, here it is. Okay. Go ahead and plug this in. Doesn't matter. Any one of the 4. We'll go top one. Now, if you didn't know, because Traxxas is crafty and proprietary, what you think is supposed to be ground and what you think is supposed to be power is the opposite. They're playing games. Turn this on. We're going to leave it like that. Power's on. Power buttons over here on top of the receiver cover. All right, a hobby wing. This is the Fusion 2300, the Pro. This is pretty good for this RC. Anything, oh, don't get these too close. That's how they bind. Don't get your transmitter and your receiver for Dumbo too close. They will do funny things. So, all right, see what we got. That's cool. It's in neutral, right? Oh, too close. Man. But anyway, you can program neutral into these things with this 3-position switch, which is really handy when you shut it off in neutral. It allows you to roll it around and do stuff. All right, let's see. Is channel 9 going to work? It does, right off the bat. Look. Let's kill this light. And we'll see, just like that, we have rock lights. Let's kill this light too. All right. Very simply, channel 9, because it was unused, that is our rock lights. And this is the proof of concept and also a demonstration of how to do this. Now, all this got to be cleaned up and put back together and zip tied and all that good stuff. You guys can handle all that. All right. I'm going to cut this and then come back to it all assembled and then show you how cool it looks on the rocks, because, you know, that's what we should do. All right, we're back. We got everything buttoned up, tidy, and I went ahead, as I already had the cover off, took the liberty of waterproofing with the dielectric grease, silicone grease. It's the same thing. The receiver box wires. So you can see that I have the wheels and tires back on. I have zip tied and secured the wires in a location so that when I put the body on and the truck tumbles, rolls, jumps, and whatnot, it's not going to strain these wires. Okay. And I'm just going to tell you, like, that is one of the reasons why I like the Traxxas lights so much. Their wiring is thin, but it is robust. The casing is exceptionally strong. And the connection point to the light pod itself, doesn't matter which one it is, whether it's a rock light pod or a light bar or whatever, they are very good. I have tried and I have used successfully some axial ones, the multicolored ones. Those are cool when they work, but they're not nearly as bright and they're very susceptible to being broken. They're defective. I've had ones that were defective right out of the packaging where, you know, there's one ground wire going into it and then one color doesn't work on one of the lights. So when you go to switch the light color, you get, you know, 3 greens and then 1 blue over here. So it's, I just, you know, most of us, in my experience with the people that I run these things with, they're just running white when they want rock lights. So that's what we got. All right, you can see I got my distribution block here. It's zip tied down. Do what you have to for yours. This is not an application guide for every single RC. This video was intended to tell you how to use the parts that I have previously annotated and how to connect them in here and how to make them work on your receiver. You know, you must have at least one free channel and some other free method to power them. Hypothetically, if you put a splitter on it, you could use the same channel. You could literally, I could have plugged this into channel 9, used a Y splitter and plugged both the power and the signal, the brain part, into the same channel 9, and then it would have worked. But I didn't need to do that because I had a spare channel, so everything's fine. All right. I'm going to put this body on, and I'll give you a good look at it in the light here, show you some of the light functions, and then go put it on the rock so you can see how well these lights really do work. All right, as previously mentioned, this is the Cross RC Emo X. It's the one. They don't notate 1 because it's the original. This is going to be a Jeep, like look-alike, and it comes in a couple colors. I chose the blue. I'm predictable. And what you see now is what I mentioned earlier. You can have a neutral gear. So it's on right now, but it's free rolling. This is very handy for many reasons, especially if you have to pull it off a trail and you want to drag it behind a leash and not carry it. In this case, just wanted you to see it in its glory. I'm going to show you on the road just how fast this thing is with the Hobbywing 2300 Fusion. All right, let me try not to crash this thing because it's never been rolled over. It's never seen dirt. So let's just see how fast this thing is. It does have a high gear. It's got second gear. That is what's on the channel 7. Channel 7, it's a 3-position switch. It's either low gear, neutral, or high gear. So right now it's in high gear. I'm going to try to give you a full speed feel with the rock lights and the headlights. And these are the brights. We'll see. We'll see if I can't not crash it. Crashed it. You know, it didn't actually fare too bad. Got a little bit of road rash here. That was fairly violent. I blame my neighbor for leaving her trash can out. I wasn't prepared to deal with that. Not too bad.
It's gonna get worse when I actually take it off road. But you can see these lights. They work pretty legit. Perhaps I should let the phone mount do the work. All right, it's pretty fast. Let me set her up over here on this trash can that was left out like a jerk, so you can see it. I drive two hands and not crash it. So it's pretty obviously quick. This is more than you could ever want for a trail truck. That was a first. Holy crap. Might need to dial my drag brake rate down a little bit. That was aggressive. All right, enough of this. Let's go stick her on the rocks in the front yard. Okay, well that was something. The rock light install went flawlessly. It went exactly as I knew it would. Things are always a little bit weird trying to record for people that you know are going to be watching, or I hope they're going to be watching. I hope you guys watched. Trying to do a little top speed show off for you guys didn't end well. However, Cross RCs are very robustly built. They're very, very good RCs. I have to recommend them. They are a lot of fun and they're very capable. Probably more so as a trail truck. You know, I do have it in neutral right now. It is on. The diffs are unlocked, so yeah, it's in neutral. I'm just kind of surveying the damage from that epic crash roll and all that good stuff. The mirror is just folded. Everything's okay. A little bit of body rash, nothing big, but nothing some silicone spray and some TLC won't make look like it almost never happened. So anyway, this is not a video about this guy, but I really do like Cross RC. I really do think they are an incredibly good RC. And when you take something like this that comes with all these cool light features, this headlights, and you know, you got your low beam, your high beam with the grow lights, and then your seizure mode, and then whatever this is, hazard mode, and then back to this. That's cool. If you've been paying attention, later models have quite a bit more features, but I do like the simplicity of this. It is very nice. These bodies are all clipless. It's just like posts with little rocker switches on the sides, or the front and the back, that you just roll and unclip You don't even have to look at it. You can just feel it. Pops right off. Oh, the back was a little bit. There we go. Pops right off. The lights are attached with a single wire, i.e. the simplicity of this particular setup. And there you have it, guys. The rock lights, they survived my epic rollover crash. You know, you leave a little bit of room here for them to move and secure them properly, and they're gonna honestly be there until you decide you don't want them there or you sell the thing off. Traxxas Rock lights are a little bit prissy in what they will accept voltage wise, but they just work. Their build quality is very, very good. I have tried the axial ones, like I said before. I put Club 5 on both of my SCX6s, the Honcho and the Jeep, and the wiring that those come with is very, very fragile and hard to repair. I've never had to repair the Traxxas ones. Whenever I go to put a set of these on my JK07, I'm going to have to cut them and elongate them to make up for the wheelbase. But that's okay. I'll do it. I've done it before. And it will turn out great. So I hope you like this video. If you have additional questions, please leave them in the comments. And want you guys to know how to do these kind of things so you can do it to your rigs. Make some cool videos. Show the world. Spread the hobby. Have fun. Probably the most important thing. Like, share, comment, subscribe, all that cool stuff that YouTube thinks is worthwhile. And I will see you in the next one. And thanks again, Mark, for suggesting, or at least giving me support for my suggestion to do this. Later.